Perek Aleph, Mishnah Vav. Mishnah continues the discussion we started in the previous Mishnah, that we learned there's a dispute, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, as to whether there is an obligation of Shvisas Kelim on Shabbos, namely, an obligation to ensure that even one's inanimate possessions, his Kelim, are not performing Malacha on Shabbos. Beis Shammai says that yes, there is such a prohibition, whereas Beis Hillel says there's no such prohibition. Another application of this dispute, the Mishnah says, Beis Shammai Omrim, the Academy of Shammai says, Ein nosnin unin shel pishton letoch hatanur. One may not place bundles of flax into the oven on a Friday afternoon or before Shabbos for the purpose of lightening the color, the process of turning this into linen. So in other words, we're dealing with the malacha of malabein, of whitening, cleaning. One cannot do that Friday afternoon, it's close to Shabbos. Unless there'll be enough time from when he puts it in the oven until Shabbos starts for the process to be completed. Otherwise it'll be forbidden, because it'll be a situation in which his kli, his oven, is performing a malacha of malabein on Shabbos, which according to Beis Shammai is forbidden. Likewise, velo esatzemer layora alakedeshi yiklo ta'ayin. You may not place a wool into the dyer's vat. So of course we're dealing here with the malacha of tzeveya, of dyeing material that can't be done on Shabbos. One cannot start that process before Shabbos unless the dyeing process will be complete before Shabbos starts. However, Beis Hillel matirin, following the view that he expressed in the previous Mishnah, Beis Hillel says it's not a problem. You can start these processes even very close to Shabbos, even though that means the malacha will be occurring on Shabbos. It's not an issue because he's not doing the malacha, it's his kli is doing the malacha, and that is not forbidden by the Torah. Another application of the dispute, Beis Shammai Omrim, Shammai says the halacha is ein parsim mitzudos chaya va'ofos v'dagim elakadeshi yitzodim ba'od yom. We may not set up traps for wild animals, birds, or fish, unless it's reasonable to expect that the trapping will have been completed, or the net will be filled up, or a trap will have caught the animal or the bird before Shabbos. So of course here we're dealing with the malacha of tzad or tzeda. It's forbidden on Shabbos for a person to trap an animal, since that was done in the Mishkan, to trap animals for materials needed for the Mishkans. That too is a malacha. Shabbos says, we may not even set up a trap, so the trap would be performing the malacha of trapping on Shabbos. But once again, Beis Hillel matir, Beis Hillel says this is not forbidden. Yitas Yontiv explains that what our Mishnah adds to the previous one is the point that even in these cases where the person's object is playing a proactive role in the performance of the malacha, his oven, his vat, or his trap is doing the malacha itself, in contrast to the case of the previous Mishnah, where it was soaking something, doing a kneading in a bowl, where the bowl was playing more of a passive role. The Mishnah comes to say that even here, where his object is playing an active role in the malacha, Beis Hillel permits it, because Beis Hillel holds there's no prohibition of shvisas kelim. One cannot allow his objects to do malacha on Shabbos whatsoever. Perek Aleph, Mishnah Zayin. This Mishnah continues with another dispute, Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, which, like the last two Mishnayos, pertains to question of whether a person may or may not do something just before Shabbos. The Mishnah will make reference to the rabbinic prohibition of Amira La'akum, which is that the Rabbanan said it's forbidden for a Jew to ask a non-Jew to perform malach on his behalf. The dispute here, Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, concerns a case where potentially it may look like the Jew is asking the non-Jew to perform malacha for him. The Mishnah begins, Beis Shammai Omrim. Shammai says the halacha is ein mochrin la'oved kochavim. One may not to sell something to a non-Jew before Shabbos, vein tonei, or help him load some product up onto his animal, or lift some merchandise, whatever it is, onto his shoulders, unless the non-Jew's destination is close enough that he will be able to arrive there before Shabbos begins. Otherwise, it will be forbidden, Shammai says, because people see this non-Jew was loaded up with something, he's carrying something from the Jew's house, and he's carrying that on Shabbos. They will conclude that the Jew must have asked this non-Jew to do this for him, to go and do malacha, to carry this for him on Shabbos. Therefore, it's forbidden. One may not create that perception, create the appearance of wrongdoing that he's having, and non-Jew do malacha for him on Shabbos. However, Beis Hillel matirin, Beis Hillel permits the Jew to sell the item to the non-Jew before Shabbos starts, even if that'll mean the non-Jew is going to be carrying it on Shabbos, as long as he left the Jew's house before Shabbos started. From Beis Hillel's estimation, this will not create the impression that the Jew asked the non-Jew to carry this to do malacha for him. Beis Hillel holds we do not have to be concerned that people will come to that conclusion.